Hey guys, it's Roscoe, and on the Space Couch today, Babylon 5 was the last of the Babylon stations. There would never be another. It changed the future, and it changed us. It taught us we have to create the future, or others will do it for us. That we have to care for one another, because if we don't, who will? And that true strength sometimes comes from the most unlikely of places. Mostly though, I think it gave us hope, that there can always be new beginnings, even for people like us. Yes, I've completed my rewatch of Babylon 5 recently, and we've had the sad passing of Mira Furlan as well. So I thought it was time to talk about Babylon 5. I know I've mentioned when I've watched various bits from it of the, like say, The Lost Tales or Legend of the Rangers or whatever. But yes, fantastic show. The first one that really did that ongoing story arc as opposed to episode of the week or time travel episode of the week or stranded on a planet episode of the week, like we'd gotten with most of the Star Trek's Next Generation and stuff like that. And without Babylon 5, you wouldn't have had Battlestar Galactica later, and you wouldn't have had Game of Thrones later, and you wouldn't have had The Expanse now, and other shows as well. It's funny, when Babylon 5 came out, it was the golden age of sci-fi. There was that, there was Lex, which I loved and is a weird show. There's Farscape, which was amazing, Space Above and Beyond, and the various Star Trek shows. And it seemed like there was loads. Now, of course, it is the real golden age of sci-fi, and there's so many shows you can't take in all the content. But Babylon 5, absolutely fantastic show. The characters, the story, the writing is just incredible. My opening monologue just there is obviously Zavanova's closing monologue from Babylon 5, which I rewatched just before filming this, and the end of the station, it gets me every single time. It was so beautiful how it's done. Funny thing, prophecy, isn't it? Because that's something you see right back in the first episode, the station blowing up. It's never quite what you expect. And at the end, it is a beautiful, unifying thing when you see all the ships lined up paying their respects. I better not go on too much, I'll start blubbing again. But the first time I ever saw that, I burst into tears. Not ashamed at all. That's the effect it should have. The music throughout the whole show, absolutely fantastic. But yeah, the characters, I mean, the tragedy of Londo Mollari. Brilliant Londo Mollari. He goes through everything and comes full circle at the end. And you can't talk about Londo without talking about Jakar. Just incredible. Some of the speeches, the monologues that he speaks are just amazing. Delenn, amazing. Sheridan, Ivanova, Marcus, Franklin, Lita, Talia, all of them were really, really good as they filtered in and out of the show. And obviously Michael Hare originally as Commander Sinclair. But yeah, I mean, the themes that it covered was big scale, huge, big scale galactic war, and there were consequences and characters died or had things done to them. But some of the lines, I'm just trying to think of one, Jakar's speech at the end, is it season 3? His closing monologue for the season is like, the war we fight is not again, and what is it? There is a greater darkness than the one we fight. It's the darkness of the soul that's lost its way. Greater than the death of flesh is the death of hope, the death of dreams, and against that peril we can never surrender. And the speech he gives, saying that none will be free again as well when the Centauri have bombed his planet, was amazing. Delenn, she had so many great lines, like where is it Severed Dreams, where she comes in to rescue them right at the end from Earth Force, and it's like, he is behind me, you are in front of me. If you value your lives, be someplace else. Just brilliant. And of course, Mr. Morden and Via, that little scene, brilliant. What is it he says when Morden asks him what he wants? I'd like to live just long enough to be there when they cut off your head and put it on a pike as a warning to the next 10 generations that some favours come with too high a price. I want to look up into your lifeless eyes and wave like this. Brilliant. And the payoff when he sees the severed head in the garden is just fantastic. But Londo's interaction with Morden in the throne room just prior to that, where he blows up the island, That is probably the best scene in the entire series. Just everyone right on top of the game, all the story beats coming together, brilliant. But yes, fantastic show, absolutely loved it. So many great memories. I saw the pilot, The Gathering. I think that was when I was doing my year abroad in America at college. If it was just after I came back, because I certainly was watching season 1 back in 1994, I think it was, when I was back in Essex. But yes, a brilliant show. I absolutely loved it. And all of the spin-offs were really good as well. The various movies. I think Third Space is probably the best one. But what were the others? Let me think. Third Space, so the one about the Soul Hunters, that was really good. Was it River of Souls? In the Beginning is really good as well, where you see the Earth Minbari War starting. And of course Crusade, which I rewatched as well as part of my Babylon 5 rewatch, which I had not seen for even longer since I last seen Babylon 5. It's much better on the later viewings. The music is still very, very weak for that show, though. It's such a shame they changed from Christopher Frank. But you could see where they were starting to go. There's some very interesting story points that they raised, which unfortunately didn't get covered. And I also liked Legend of the Rangers. The whole weapons defense system of the girl in space. They could have gotten rid of that. But overall, it was good. I'd like to know more about the Hand. Although they did seem just like even bigger Shadows and Vorlons. Who knows? But yes, fantastic. And the Lost Tales, which I have spoken about on here. Brilliant. Lockley, the priest, and the guy possessed by a demon. It's the three of them talking in a room, excuse me, and it's just amazing. When Lockley, she figures out what's been going on, and she talks about a new start for mankind, a new dream, and you don't belong in that dream. Brilliant. She's just fantastic. But yes, Babylon 5, amazing show. My favourite show of all time. Galactica is always within a hair of it, and sometimes they leapfrog, but Babylon 5, it's the daddy of all of those shows. It's just amazing. I could never get into Deep Space Nine, maybe because of the overall similarities to Babylon 5, and it was just boring. I always found Deep Space Nine very boring. Whereas Babylon 5 was just amazing. So many great characters. All the different homeworlds that you got to see. You even got to see the Vorlon homeworld very, very briefly in Season 5, where Lita's in a tank and all the other aliens are in tanks as well. When she's having sex with Byron. Don't get me started on Byron. So annoying. It's funny, when me and Mike were rewatching Season 5, I got Mike into Babylon 5, by the way, and so many other shows. But there's a scene, I think it's when he first meets Lita, and she asks him something like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" But he comes up with, it's a quote, it might be Keats or something, but he comes out, it's like, "Oh, the light from yonder window breaks," or whatever it was. And me and Mike just looked at each other and went, that was Byron, so annoying. And we will all come together in a better place. But yeah, Babylon 5, amazing show, absolutely loved it. So many great lines of dialogue. The story was brilliant. The Shadow War, the Civil War. Walter Koenig, oh my god, Bester, he's just brilliant in that show. Far better in that than he was in Star Trek, to be honest. A role he could really get his teeth into, and he certainly did. But yes, and all the various guest stars I had, Michael York, Roy Dotrice, Shari Belafonte in Third Space, whoever, Martin Sheen as the Soul Hunter in River of Souls, and there'll be so many others that I don't even remember right off the top of my head. But yes, and how everybody seemed to interchange roles. A lot of the alien ambassadors, Zadrazi or whoever, the actor would also play a human as well, so that was great. And what it was really good about was a strong female characters, a very mixed cast as well, background characters as well. So I actually noticed on my rewatch how diverse it was, but it wasn't just shoved in your face. It was just happening because this is the future, and it worked because the characters, they were strong characters more than they were male, female, alien, or whatever, and that is why it all worked. There wasn't a single weak female in there, I don't think. Apart from Lise Hampton, I think. And even she, I think, kills someone when she's on the run, if I recall correctly. But anyway, guys, the Mars thing, nothing good ever happens on Mars. The whole Mars storyline was brilliant as well with Garibaldi and Franklin. And all the others who were on Mars. But yes, Babylon 5, if you've never watched it, check it out. It's fantastic. The effects now for, say, season 1 and 2 are a little bit very dated, but they were great at the time. And as the show progresses, the effects are much, much better. And the ones in the later seasons still pretty much hold up now, I reckon. But yes, great show. A show that managed to go its whole length without getting cancelled. And every season it was at the threat of cancellation. But they made it in the end. So anyway, guys, that was just Babylon 5. Here is the commander. I would stand it up, but it keeps falling over. I got this from Crystal Palace a year or two ago. And he's going to stay unboxed because that's a very special thing that I have. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this just quick little chat about Babylon 5. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for a topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.